In this video, I'll be taking some of my favorite Smosh characters and giving them a makeover, taking into account their current design, personality, and concept, and drawing up new designs for each of them. Let's create some chaos!
Shut up!
If you want to survive here, you're going to need to be resourceful.
First up, we've got The Chosen, portrayed by Shane Top. Arguably one of my favorite characters to appear on the Smosh Pit, Smosh Games type of videos. And so I knew going into this video that I was definitely going to redesign The Chosen. That being said though, there became a bit of an issue with approaching the video like that. Instead of with r/boss fight redesign, the videos I did earlier this year, where I took posts from the subreddit based on ideas I had to redesign them, I started off this video taking Smosh characters that I knew and then just kind of going from there with the redesign. And although none of the designs are bad, I feel like this first one there's a bit of a conflict within The Chosen's new design. I wanted to keep that main character delusion that The Chosen is described to have, like being the main character of your own story and feeding into all the things he says, like, oh, my training and impressive, all that kind of stuff. But then I also had the idea to also give him main character attributes in like a more heightened story, like a fantasy or a sci-fi, something like that. And so there's a bit of a clash with the shorts from the original character's costume or design and these new warrior-esque elements that I wound up giving him, such as the real sword that's radiating energy. Though I feel like out of all the characters I did, if there was going to be a dichotomy in the design, that it would best fit The Chosen. My main thought process for redesigning The Chosen as I went into it after I figured out the pose and everything was to really interpret all the design elements in different ways. So I looked into both fantasy and history for different types of warriors to pull inspiration from. Looking at Japanese samurai and medieval outfits, but also going into the fictional world of Star Wars and animes like Demon Slayer. So for the wolf shirt, I instead made it a cape that's lined with wolf fur, just sitting on his shoulders and flowing down, and then connecting it with a chain which kind of served as a reimagining of the shark tooth necklace that he wears. I also ended up adding in a braid of hair similar to the rat tails that Padawans in Star Wars use, just to be like, I am still in my training phase, and once I complete it, I will shed this hair. So all stuff like that. Like I said, like the main character, and he's just that mindset and just either being actually in the world of it or just dressing up to pretend he's in the world of it. And alongside all of that, I also replaced the trainer sword that The Chosen has in Smosh videos, for obvious reasons, with a real sword that's capable of wielding mysterious powers. And I do have to say, I was a little unsure how I was going to render out this smoke, wispy light kind of stuff that the sword had, but I really like how it turned out. And it's really thanks to a brush I have. I forget what the actual brush is called, but I named it something along the lines of like sparkly bits or something like that. And it really pushed that glow design forward to just trace over the lines that I drew for the wisps with that, so it kind of surrounded them. With all these new design elements though, I still wanted to keep really iconic elements of the original design, so that way the viewer doesn't lose sense of who the character is supposed to be. Obviously I had to keep the sunglasses, as that's probably one of the most iconic parts of the character as a whole if you're just like from a headshot standpoint. But I also decided to keep the hairstyle that Shane gives The Chosen when portraying him, where it's a bit of a part down to the sides. But I did push it in my style a little more. It's not an exact look, but I was looking a lot at Alucard's hair from the Castlevania anime, where it kind of goes up to the head and then loops back down on itself. I didn't make it as long or flowy as Alucard's hair, but I did give it the two little prongs, for lack of a better word, and I think it looks really cool. And the final design choice I decided to go with was giving him inhibitor bracelets akin to Shadow the Hedgehog, where it prevents him from using his full power, as it felt like a very chosen thing to happen. I also added Japanese Geta. I think I'm saying that right. It might be Geta or Jetta. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. With socks for his footwear, as a kind of I have the power of anime on my side vibe. But overall, let's take a look at a redesigned Chosen.
My job as a detective is to hunt down serial killers and dangerous criminals.
Next up, we have Sarah Christ, the Wet Detective, played by Amanda Lehan-Canto. This is definitely my favorite redesign out of the three that I did for this episode. My thought process was a little bit more contained to one track than it was with the previous drawing. Sarah Christ is a cop or detective type character, and so I really wanted to push that idea with my redesign, styling the character in a more noir setting with a trench coat and a fedora, and giving her a lit cigarette as she's always asking if she's allowed to smoke. But also mostly because working with smoke and subtle lighting effects is really fun. I also originally wanted to add a gun in a holster either on the belt or like how cops wear it on their shoulder, but I realized when sketching it out that the pose I chose didn't really allow for it to be shown that much, so I went away with that idea. I also changed up the hair a little bit and made it much shorter than Sarah or Amanda's original hair, and got rid of the ponytail and sent that over to the Chosen. As for the elements from the original character design that I did keep, I went with the same general color scheme for the redesign, color picking off Amanda's jacket and mixing in with a little bit more brown to make it more olive green color, but then also switching out the pants from blue to a brown/beige to give it more of a khaki kind of feel. I also kept the red scarf that she has and just tuned it a little bit so the colors match the saturation and luma of the rest of the piece. Another reason that I chose to redesign Sarah Christ, other than it being a really fun character, is because in my last couple of videos, I've been really working on trying to learn how to draw female anatomy and also the difference between male and female facial features. So like the Blood Red Riding Hood 1 year redesign, and also Katie Damon from the Escape from MSM Park recreation video from last month. I think I did a really good job with the female features on this one, and combined with the faces and lines, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I was worried that making her a more grumpy or grizzled kind of detective would push it too far into a masculine looking face, but overall I think it's still very feminine. However, if we compare the two drawings, for some reason Sarah Christ's new facial features seem to be more masculine than the Chosen's facial features. I don't really know how that happened, but my guess is that I've been experimenting with more detail in the mouth area instead of just a single line. In both of these pieces, I tried adding extra lines, color, and shading for the lips, which could have possibly helped make the feminine features pop more, but I'm not 100% on that. And this is also an art piece that I decided to render with an underhand lighting to give it a darker, more creepier tone, which I absolutely love. And let's take a look at our new Sarah Christ.
I'm the Burger Man, here with more non-copyright poetry that I made up.
Last but not least, we've got Damien Haas's The Burger Man. This is the last drawing I did for the episode, and although I wouldn't say you can necessarily tell it's my last drawing from the final result, I will say that the overall design is definitely a lot less serious than my first two. Obviously, with the nature of the Smosh videos, Try Not to Laugh, Smosh Games, where I mainly pulled inspiration from for these characters, the Smosh cast is very limited by what props they have, and also by the fact that they're humans. And for that reason, I thought it would be really fun to redesign the Burger Man from the ground beef up. I kept his main shtick, but other than that, everything else was out the window. Let us take a look. Overall, I went with the obvious design of turning the Burger Man into a burger-shaped man. However, I challenged myself to only use parts of the burger when designing the face. Meaning, for the most part, I didn't add any extraneous details that one wouldn't normally find on a burger when determining the face and the facial feature of the redesign. I did split the patty in half for the mouth and add teeth, but you could really pass that off as an onion or a French fry maybe. I did, however, use the onions to make eyeglasses and then used each of the little layer rings of the onion to direct the character's eye line so the viewer can tell where the character is looking, which I thought was really, really fun to do. And as we traveled further down the layers of the burger, I utilized the corners of the cheese drooping down the side of the patty to form a mustache, giving him a more pompous or gentleman-esque look, which I think really went along with his poetry. Speaking of poetry, the whole joke of the Burger Man is that he recites non-copyright poetry that he made up. So I took that and ran with it, giving this new Burger Man a parchment and a quill where he definitely writes totally original poems. Because of the simple design of the character, I took the extra time that the designing and coloring saved me to really experiment with the rendering process of the character. I tried to make sure that every component of the burger had its own unique texture, whether that was the starch sprinkles on the top of the bun, the ridges on the lettuce, or the cheese sheen. I wanted every part of the burger to look like its real-life counterpart as closely as I could, in my style, obviously. And I think it turned out great. I experimented with a bunch of different brushes and styles and changing up the flows and size, which I don't normally do when rendering. And the only thing I will say is that the legs do seem to be a bit basic metallic cylinders, and that's it. But let's take a look at our final drawing today, our new and improved Burger Man. If you like this video, then I highly recommend you check out other videos where I redesign characters, such as when I redesign posts from the r/bossfight subreddit, or in a similar vein, combining characters who share a voice actor. That's a good series on the channel that's at least 3 episodes long at this point, and I'm sure there's going to be more. But overall, I'm really happy with how this video turned out. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. I feel like this is a bit of a niche kind of thing, despite how big Smosh is. So if you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments below and consider hitting the like button. And if you want more of this, feel free to comment below what other Smosh characters you'd like me to redesign. I have a few in mind that I'd like to work with that I didn't have a chance to for this episode, but I want to hear what you have to say. And that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is KyngPin Creations, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.